Good morning. Here we are. It's a Thursday, and I'm just going to let everybody know I am lit up.
Welcome back to another Nudelberg Daily Huddle. Thanks for joining us this morning and choosing to own the morning with us. So give us the story. Tell us about John Cougar Mellencamp last night.
First of all, kudos to you for the recommendation for the restaurant. The Catherine, off the chart.
Catherine's a win.
Really, really cool. Ran into a bunch of people there. It was very small. It was exactly what we wanted last night. It was great. How about this for a dish? Clam chowder fries.
Yeah.
I say to the guy, like, okay, what are clam chowder fries? And he tells me, oh, the chef makes a special clam chowder, puts little neck clams in there, and in the middle is homemade, fresh cut French fries. I was like, what?
Right.
So we had a great dinner. We get to the show. We're pumped. We have great seats, center, boom, we're looking. And the lady says that when we're walking in, hey, you'll be able to go back and forth. There's no opening act. There's a 30-minute movie. Like, I thought she was kidding. It was like, okay. So we sit there for a little bit. They look at this. It's like a movie house. They played 5-minute clips of 6 black and white movies, Streetcar Named Desire, just a couple of cool ones.
Classics.
On the waterfront. But, you're sitting in an audience that's waiting to hear John Mellencamp. People starting to freak out. 10 minutes in, rumbling. 15 minutes at a concert, people are like, what the fuck is going on there? Yelling, like, over the music, over this. Like, so it was, and I'm, me. I'm like, who does this guy think he is? Like, what is this thing?
Yeah.
30 sirens go off, like real sirens, man. Everybody's freaking out. Band comes up and they lit the stage on fire. I mean, they absolutely were fantastic. He's an amazing, amazing storyteller, which the lesson here is he didn't just play his music. He talked his music. He lived it. He comes out.
Every show to me that's what it comes down to. Like, most shows you're going to go see, they should have a good book of music. They should have a good catalog of music to go through. But if it's not woven with stories and it's not in between of connecting with the audience and kind of letting you into who they are, I thought obviously the Genesis concert, Phil Collins did an amazing job of that. Most recently seeing J. Cole in concert, a couple years ago, he did the exact same thing. That to me is what really brings the concert to life and makes it more than the music. But like talking about it before the show, the fact that he's 71 and like probably the peak of his career was 40 years ago in the early 80s. Like, that's crazy, but just to continue your craft and keep going, it's super.
Let me show everybody the current 71-year-old John Mellencamp. Show me.
Okay, let's have a little songwriting 101. A song consists of a verse, sometimes 2 verses, and then the chorus, which is where you guys can jump. You jump the second verse. It took me a long time to write that second verse, so I'm going to sing it. Sing it on, sing it out. Outside taste free. Dancing on Jackie's lap, got his hands between the knees. Jackie say Diane's run off behind shady trees. You belong to those Robert Rich girl and you do it without please. Now, oh yeah. Oh yeah!
man.
That's super cool that he stopped everybody right there and was like, no, everybody just screwed up the song. Everybody just ruined it.
And
It
he
took
was
me a long time to write that verse. We're going to sing it.
in an acoustic set, and he goes in the like in the back of the band. He talks to them for a second. He comes out. He's smoking a cigarette. You're in Broward performing arts. The guy's on stage. Smoke is going everywhere, and he goes, news travels slow to Indiana. He goes, so I heard these things are not good for you. So it was just really fantastic. Bob gets it right on the head. 71
is the new 51. I love it.
He was energetic. He was there. Fantastic. If you get a chance to see him, he has 75 other dates coming up throughout the U.S. Go see him. Before we do Huddle Music, we had a nice call yesterday. So we'll talk about the GOTB call.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know about the GOTB community, it is a community of professionals that are committed to their development and getting 1% better. And at the end of every month, we have what we call as the accountability call. So you should spend the month in the facility training, working through the teachings and trying to implement. And then the whole point of that call at the end of the month is to talk about what you've been doing, how it's been going, and how we can find a way to get it 1% better. And it was really that. I mean, we talked about some traveling to events and how to really, follow up after events and what some of the new skill sets are for that. We dove into LinkedIn as we normally do. But the crazy part about it is you don't know who's going to show up, right? I mean, the whole community has the invite, but there could be 3 people there. There could be 50 people there. You have no idea how many people are going to be there. So yesterday ended up being more of an intimate call for the people that were on it. And I thought it was super valuable. Jonathan Ahrens definitely thought so. He posted about it this morning. So good stuff.
So let's wake this thing up. We do have some great content today. We're going to focus on the new Jeff Bezos. Have you seen him recently? The guy is jacked, man. But I guess that's what you can do if you have all the money in the world, man. You just
got to find something to kill your time.
Wake it up, baby.
Wake up, everybody. Get up, get up, get up, get up. Wake up. Come on, come on. Wake up, everybody. Teach a new way. Maybe then they'll listen what you have to say. Wake up, everybody. No more sleeping in bed. No more about to thinking, time of thinking ahead. Come on.
All right. So I'm gonna give a little shout out here. I love when I see brotherly love.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
And now I'm gonna give fatherly love. The two of you are on fire. I being the cynic. I mean, I've been in LinkedIn a long time, and most people's stuff just doesn't resonate with me. I'm a tough audience. You guys every day are putting out amazing, thought-provoking stuff. When you talk about reverse mentoring, it's a perfect example of what I'm learning from you and what I'm now learning from this firecracker that just awoke. But he put out a post with a poll, and I don't really do polls, but I thought it was a really good poll, and I want to show you the results. Do you regularly use an alarm to wake you up? Yeah. So right after wake up music, here we go. We're having a wake up conversation. 64% of the people said they use an alarm clock. Do you use an alarm clock, sir?
Absolutely, I do. You think I'm waking up at 4:15 automatically? Like, I don't go to bed until somewhere between 9:30 and 10:30 every night. So like 4:15, I need an alarm clock to get up.
I find that mind-boggling. I haven't used an alarm clock in 25 years. I mean, whatever. And I know a lot of people.
So you know, right, with that data that you just gave me, you haven't used an alarm clock in 25 years. I technically still have 8 years before I need to stop using an alarm clock. So I got time to work up to that point to where I can stop using it.
I forget, like when I was 36, I just didn't sleep. I was
right. Yeah, right.
It was like I posted yesterday about this 10-minute brain boost and taking a break. And somebody I did a lot of work with, Janice Bankin, reached out. She goes, I never thought you took breaks. She goes, I'm so happy to see that you're considering it. So
Yeah.
Very cool. Jamie Tribble says she has not used an alarm clock in 3 years and still gets up at 5 a.m. I believe
Well done, Jamie.
I believe it's the heart of mental conditioning. You train your brain to do the things you want. And like I wake up before my alarm clock, which Jake says he does regularly as well.
Well, so there's actually science behind this, and there's a whole thing called sleep inertia, that your body is supposed to wake up at the end of a sleep cycle, and sleep cycles take anywhere from 75 to 90 minutes to complete. And if you interrupt that sleep cycle, it actually ruins the next 4 hours, or has the ability to ruin the next 4 hours. Your body has to recover from being jolted out of the middle of a sleep cycle. What's cool about using the Whoop is that you could set your alarm for a time frame so that you're not going to get up any later than the time that you want to get up, but it will wake you up at the end of a sleep cycle that's closest to the time that you want to get up, which is supposed to be far better for you, far more healthy, and help you get started the right way in the beginning of the day.
Look at Nick, man.
Well, I know Nick is referencing Mel Robbins right now, because Mel Robbins is all of her stuff. She has been on a rant about how bad the snooze button is for you, but it actually points back to that data about when you hit the snooze button and you start to drift back into sleep, you start another sleep cycle. And so then in 9 minutes into a 75-minute sleep cycle, you're interrupting your body, and it makes it that much harder for you to get up. So, there's just real data behind it on how to help set yourself up the best way possible to waking up. Alarm clocks really aren't the best thing, but you got to do what you got to do.
Awesome. Before we get into the Jeff Bezos stuff, let's play some motivational music. And wouldn't you know who?
I'm fired up for some Mellencamp. Let's go.
Let's go. Yeah.
That song is 40 years old.
40 years old.
That song was released in 1983. It's older than I am, yet I know that song. I love that song. And that just goes to show you the testament of good work. Good work never gets old.
So I don't have this on here, but I want to kind of throw something out. So I worked out with my trainer this morning, and I tried to bail last night. I sent him a note. I said, look, this is going to be a late night. I'm really going to be out of my sleep cycle. Could we move to Friday? And he said, I already have somebody in your slot. I go at 6 o'clock with him. He said, I already have somebody in your slot. I said, okay, leave it, whatever. So I got up the regular time, got downstairs, warmed up. He came. We were starting to get into the workout, and I was telling him about Mellencamp, and he goes, wow. He goes, that's really cool. Like, you're a performer, and you're engaged in other people performing, watching what they do and supporting it. And I was like, I never really thought about it like that. But it was really cool the way this guy handled the audience. And to me, the best kind of learning is right there. It's like You just hang around, man. You hang around the people who are doing it right.
That's the tipping point, right? I mean, that is Malcolm Gladwell, and the tipping point in context is that whoever you want to be like, or whatever you want to be like, you have to find a way to get around those people. You have to find a way to put yourself in those positions and in the context of those people so that you have the ability to start to develop into that.
You know, and so you think about this guy 40 years later is still able to, you know, rock it and blast it. So enough John Mellencamp. Obviously, you know, I'm fired up. Anybody who wants more video, I did a good job last night of taking some stuff. So I want to talk about Jeff Bezos. We're not going to get all of the stuff of him. We'll probably just land on this one topic. And it's a new word, and I look for these terms all the time. The incredible value of intellectual humility. Anybody want to, Mark, you want to give me a shot at what you think that is?
I think it's the ability to talk about your knowledge and feelings humbly.
I like that. It's a one step beyond that. Research shows the quality of intellectual humility, or embracing the fact that you might be wrong and actively seeking out evidence that might contradict your own opinion.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, we could talk about this for years, because once people dig their heels in, you know, it just doesn't move.
You're done. You stop learning. As soon as you decide that you know everything, as soon as you decide that your way is the best way and that there's no possible way for that to change, it's over. Like, it's done. The end is imminent, right? And like, to me, I point back to early in my career where when I walked into Florida State, they were riding on the success of 5 years prior. I got there in 2005, and they still thought that the 2000 national championship game was the thing that was carrying them on. And so for 2 years, I watched the entire program go to shambles because they weren't doing anything to move forward. They weren't doing anything to keep up with the way that it was changing. In 2007, Nick Saban goes to Alabama, but he had already won a national championship at LSU. What Nick Saban was doing to make, you know, LSU successful was starkly different than what we were doing at Florida State. So Coach Bowden had decided, and the program had decided, we figured it out. We were going to be successful doing what we had always done, and it didn't work.
You know, this idea, and you talk about it a lot in your leadership training, and I love hearing it, is that you got to be able to have tough conversations.
Yeah.
The tough conversations don't only happen at work. Tough conversations happen at home. You know, I mean,
Anywhere.
Not willing, if you and I are not willing to have tough conversations, which we've had, you're never going to create the opportunity for growth. You're constantly going to be, you know, and a lot of organizations tiptoe around shit that needs to be done. You need to create a safe space to do that. And it says being able to fight about tough subjects without losing your cool is where the giant leg up comes from. I was not good at that. I would reach a point where the smoke was coming out of my ears. Man, my neck would get so red because, and this isn't what I want people to understand today. Your job is not to sell somebody on the other side. Right. You know, you're not winning them over. Winning is them understanding their own journey of exploration. That's really what learning is. It's like, hey, I don't agree with you, but let me do the research and let me go down that path. That's the fear of finding out. We're, you know, showing up every.
Could be wrong. You might not be the right fit. Like, if you want to take it to a sales conversation, you know, it's being okay with not being the answer for somebody. Or if you want to have it in a leadership conversation, it's the realization that you might not be right. And I think there's far too many people, too many people in leadership or salespeople that are burning capital, burning relationship capital, and burning capital with the people that they're working with, trying to be right instead of saying, I may be right, but I may be wrong. Here's what I think. Here's what I know has worked in the past. Here's what I've put into practice for myself that's been really successful. Here's what I think will continue to make us successful. Do I know I'm right on that? No. Could I be wrong? Sure. But I'm going to need you to show me that. I'm going to need you to really take me down the journey and prove to me why I may be wrong, which most people don't know it well enough to be able to speak it that way to help you understand how you might be wrong.
Whoa. So most people don't take the time to really understand and learn what they're talking about. That's
Correct.
how, just shut your mouth, because when you open your mouth, you sound like a fool because you haven't done the work. If you commit to the work, if someone says to me, this whole LinkedIn thing, I don't really get it, but I'll do the work and I'll come back to you, I'm in a great place, because you know what? All I did was I'm the can opener. I opened the door, opened the lid so that you could take a peek inside and know what I know. But if you know what I know and you know what you know, I'm guessing if you're just smart, I think it's goof proof. You're going to see something different. And that's sort of the basis of all of our thinking, all of our coaching. I was that way. The art of persuasion is complete bullshit.
Right.
It's a waste of time. I'm not going to waste my time and energy persuading you to think like me or to agree with what I think. What I want you to do is go take your own journey and then come back to me and say, you know what? I think what you said is right. I'd like to learn more from you. Wow. Those are great client engagements for me.
Yeah.
So this idea, that Jeff Bezos hailed this as the hallmark of the very smartest people. Harvard professors insist it's the key to intellectual progress. Dude, if that's not a mic drop, then what is?
Well, what was really interesting about that study is that the two test groups that were monitored or studied, one test group was somebody who was asked to write about something a value that they held near and dear to them, and then come into the conversation and talk about it with a group. The other group was asked to write about something that they really didn't feel any certain way about, something that they were neutral about, a neutral product, and come in and talk about it. And the neutral product group was the group that ended up in the arguments and not the value-based group, because they were already thinking about something that they cared a lot about and had a broad understanding of, which made them able to navigate the conversation and talk more holistically about it, as opposed to something that they didn't really care about, that they had a surface level knowledge about, that they felt like they had to dig in on points to prove something to people. So a really interesting study.
Fascinating that these stories are everywhere, every day. We live in a content vacuum. You can, jump in and jump out. A couple of shout outs. Patrick Tinney coming to us from somewhere in Canada.
Great to see you, Patrick. Thanks for being here.
That was the opening of my None of Us is Smarter Than All of Us was the opening to my post yesterday. So you are absolutely correct. He is a fellow author. He and I connected years ago. And then a shout out to Joanne French. Joanne, you continue to impress me by your ability to just say, I don't know. I want to know. And then I'll let you know. Yep. I want to know, so great job. Great content. We had a nice big crowd today. Tomorrow, Tim Rappold takes the Huddler in the hot seat, which is going to be great. I think Joanne French, we're looking for a woman.
Joanne would be a great Huddler in the hot seat. She's willing to take.
Joanne and I know each other like 3 different times in our lives.
Yeah, for sure.
People. So stay tuned for tomorrow, because Tim is a rock star who, and you'll be able to share this. Are you experiencing like you're the outlier at your company? You're the one doing it, and people are, giving you shit for doing it. Tim's going to talk a lot about that. So Jim Barrett saying hello to Joanne. He knows Joanne. All right.
Let's go.
After it, it's going to be a terrific Thursday. Go out, make it happen. Let's get down to business and bring down the walls.
Please don't worry about me. I'm about to let my heart speak. My friends keep telling me to leave this. So let's get down to business. Let's get down to business.